Welcome to the Words to Empower podcast, featuring Bishop Frank Stewart, pastor of the Acts Ministry in Conway and North Little Rock. And now, Pastor Stewart.
Welcome back to your Acts Ministry podcast and to the 9th day of the month of May. Our key verse this month is found in the book of Romans chapter 4, verse 17. And we're talking about manifestation. Manifestation. May is the month of manifestation. So when we think about that, we think about Romans chapter 4, verse 17. The Bible says, as it is written, I have made you a father of many nations in the presence of him whom he believed, God who gives life to the dead and called those things which do not exist as though they did. And this is Paul quoting from the book of Genesis. He's talking about what God said to Abraham. And he says, God, not only do he give life to those that are dead, but he called those things which do not exist as though they did. Things that do not exist, God calls those things as though they do exist. Now, you have to think about that. When I said do exist, that they are visible. So we're talking about this month, the month of manifestation, because God has already released healing and deliverance and prosperity and everything that we need. The Bible says it like this: He hath given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness. And when it says hath given, that's past tense. It has already been given to us. So since it's already been given to us, we just have to learn how to receive it. And we cannot receive it unless we receive it through faith. So God who give life to the dead and call those things which do not exist as though they did. We're looking at this as a key verse for the month of May, because it's a month of manifestation. Now, one thing that we've been talking about, if we want some things to manifest in our lives, there are some things that we have to look at that Jesus did, that we see in the Bible, that cause the manifestation to take place in the lives of the different ones in the Bible. Now, we talked about in 2 Kings chapter 6, we talked about the king of Syria and how he has sent a messenger to kill Elijah. And I want to just reiterate that. That's 2 Kings chapter 6. 2 Kings chapter 6, and I want to start at verse number 32. But Elijah was sitting in his house, and the elders were sitting with him. And the king sent a man ahead of him, but before the messenger came in, he said to the elders, do you see how this son of a murderer has sent someone to take away my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door. Hold him fast at the door. Is not the sound of his master's feet behind him. Now, I want you to see that, because Elijah said the king has sent a messenger. He has sent a man to kill him, to cut his head off. What Elijah said was to the rest of the elders that were there, shut the door and hold it fast. This is such a powerful text, such a powerful text. And what makes it powerful is that they are 24 hours from a breakthrough. 24 hours. 24 hours. It's not weeks, it's not months, it's not years. They're real close.
Stay tuned for more of Frank Stewart. And now for some special announcements.
Thanks for partnering with the Acts Ministries. We value your service and your donations. That's why we've made it easy to make contributions to support our ministry. Simply go to your web browser and click the search bar and type in actsministriesonline.org. Then click Donate Online. It's really that easy. For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242. That's Simple Give.
And now, more
of Pastor Frank Stewart.
And when you're real close, the enemy does all kind of things. He comes after you to destroy you. So they're real close. And Elijah tells them, I need you to hold the door closed for just 24 hours. 24 hours, because he says, tomorrow about this time, there's going to be a breakthrough. Now, I'm paraphrasing what Elijah said. He says, tomorrow about this time, what's going to happen? There's going to be abundance. All your worry is going to be over with in about 24 hours. On tomorrow about this time. So he's saying at this exact time, 24 hours from now, it's going to be an incredible miracle that takes place, that the king is not going to want to kill me. But right now, we got to keep everything shut up. We got to close the door. Now, brothers and sisters, what I'm telling you is this. He didn't tell the elders to hold the door shut for weeks or months or years. He said, I just need this interval of time. I just need this 24-hour window. And what God is saying to us, if we're going to see the kind of manifestations we want to see, there's got to be a shutting of the door. There's some things we have to shut out of our lives, some things we have to do without, some things that we have to push aside so we can see God in his fullness, so we can totally focus on God during that time. So Elijah had help. I like that because Elijah had people that was with him, and he told the elders, not just people, but the elders. There were other people with him. There was other men, preachers, older men with him. And he says, I need all of you to come and hold this door shut. Shut the door. Don't let him in. 24 hours, we're going to see an incredible difference. So if we want to see a manifestation, there are some things that we have to do. We have to shut the door. Now, I want to go and show you something that not only Jesus did, and we'll come back to that, but it was other people in the Bible that did also. They knew how to shut everything out. If we're going to see a manifestation of the miracles and the signs and the wonders, we're going to have to learn to shut the door. That's what Elijah says. Shut the door. Don't let them in. Now, in the book of Acts, chapter 9, verse 36, and we're going to look at another example of what it means to shut out all the interference, all the distraction, and focus totally and absolutely on God. In Acts chapter 9, starting at verse 36, it says, at Joppa there was a certain disciple named Tabitha, which is translated Dorcas. This woman was full of good works and charitable deeds, which she did. But it happened in those days that she became sick and died. When they had washed her, they laid her in an upper room. And since Lydia was near Joppa, and the disciples had heard that Peter was there, they sent 2 men to him, imploring him not to delay in coming to them. Then Peter arose and went with them. When he had come, they brought him to the upper room, and all the widows stood by him, weeping, showing the tunics and garments which Dorcas had made while she was with them. But Peter put them all out and knelt down and prayed. And turning to the body, Peter said, Tabitha, arise. And she opened her eyes, and when she saw Peter, she sat up. Then he gave her his hand, lifted her up, and when he had called the saints and widows, he presented her alive. And it became known throughout all of Joppa, and many believed on the Lord. So it was that he stayed many days in Joppa with Simon, a leper. So the thing I want to focus on, you notice the Bible says Peter in verse 40, but Peter put them all out. He put them all out. Now, let's look at that, because this is a principle that we see in the Bible. Because when you are expecting a manifestation, you have to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, and you can't have an interference going on. So Peter had learned this from Jesus. Jesus took Peter, James, and John, the inner circle, in dealing with Jairus' daughter. And he put everybody else out because they were weeping and mourning, and then they began to ridicule or make fun of Jesus when he said Jairus' daughter was not dead. So Peter had learned this. Let's clear the room. Think about that. Let's clear the room. This is too important to have any kind of distraction. Now, the people that were in the room were not bad people. These were church people. I'm going to say that again. These were people that believed in God. Matter of fact, they had sent for Peter. They sent for him. So they were believers in God. But the miracle that Peter needed to do, it's people that believe in God, but they believe to a certain extent. There are people that go to church and they love God and all that, but when it comes down to manifestation, they can block a manifestation with their unbelief. Now, when you look at the people that was in the room, there's one thing that I want you to see. They're so emotional. And the Bible says they're crying and weeping, showing the tunics and the garments which Dorcas had made while she was with them. So here they are. You got the weeping, you got the crying, you got all this emotional activity going on, and they're crying because she's dead. And they're not expecting her to come back to life. That's why they're crying. They're crying. Their faith is not at the point where their expectation, believing that she's going to be resurrected or called back from the dead. So in the midst of all of this, these are women. They stood by weeping and crying and showing the different tunics and talking about Dorcas, how great a woman she was and what she did for them. And Peter put them out because he's looking for a manifestation. He's expecting something to manifest, something to show up. Now, Dorcas is gone, but he's getting ready to tell her to arise, tell her to get up. And he doesn't need spectators in there. He doesn't need people in there that is going to question what he's doing, that's going to have a problem with what he's doing. He needs to be able to focus on what he's getting ready to do. He don't need any hindrance. Now, this is a principle. Remember, the Bible says that Jesus could not do many miracles at Nazareth. He only healed a few sick people. That's all he could do. Heal a few sick people because of their unbelief. Their unbelief was so strong. And all he could do is just lay hands and heal a few sick. Now, that might not sound bad, but you remember when Jesus went anywhere, the Bible says he healed everybody. So this is a huge drop-off because of the unbelief. The unbelief. So what Peter had learned from being with Jesus is to put everybody out. Put them out. Because it's hard to believe when you're this sad, this emotional. It is hard to have faith at this point. And the distraction level was so great that Peter had enough sense to realize that, hey, I can't do anything right now. I can't do anything. He shows them out. When he put them out, then Peter kneels down and began to pray. Then he turns to the body. That's very important. He prayed and talked to God. When he got through talking to God, he turned towards the body and he spoke. And he said, Tabitha, arise. Arise. And Tabitha got up and Peter presented her alive. Now that story sounds familiar because I'm going to show you in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, there's a story that's very similar to this, where you put everybody out. Now we're talking manifestation now. If there's going to be a manifestation, then we got to make sure that certain things is shut out. Certain things is not in the room. Now, see, that sounds so technical. It sounds so technical that unbelief in another person in a room can block the flow of what God is trying to do. I want you to stay tuned as we're going deeper into this about shut the door and how to shut that door and what we need to do to see the manifestations of the miracles, signs, and wonders that the Lord wants us to embrace and see.
For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242.
The Acts Church in North Little Rock is located at 1224 Franklin Street. Morning Glory begins at 8 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Sunday school begins at 8:30 a.m. And for a powerful word, join us at 9:30 a.m. for our morning worship service. Bible study is each Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. At our Conway location, Morning Glory begins at 10 a.m. Sunday school begins at 10:30 a.m. Worship service begins at 11:30 a.m. On Thursday, our Bible class begins at 6:30 p.m. For more information, go to actsministriesonline.org or give us a call at 501-329-2055.
Thank you for tuning in to the Acts Ministry Podcast. The Acts Church is located at 1423 Ingram Street in Conway and 1224 Franklin Street in North Little Rock, Arkansas. Tune in each day to hear an inspiring word from Pastor Frank Stewart.
I disrespected my parents at home, sir. I've been more of a leader than a follower. I've been trying to help others to stay on the right track. Doing good is not really as hard as you think it is.
The Arkansas Youth Challenge is enrolling for young people 16 to 18 years old. If you're having trouble in school or at home, call 1-800-814-8453. We support second chances.